Hello and welcome to a new video and vlog of the cruise vibes. And today it is day 4 on board the Ambience of Ambassador Cruise Lines, and we are in the beautiful Geirangerfjord, and here on the map you can see our approximate route today. As I told you in the last video, there have been several warnings about heavy weather conditions on this day, especially heavy rainfall, so my excursion, a hike to a waterfall, has been cancelled for safety reasons, and I decided to search for an alternative. I didn't book a new excursion, instead I did something on my own and booked a ticket for the ferry to Hellesylt. We can see the ship here in the background. So I just walked over as we were docking on a movable pier. So here it's quite interesting, the ship is not coming to the pier, but the pier is coming to the ship. So it was just a short walk to the ferry, and here we can see a bit of the interior of the ferry. I will show you more later on. This ferry is quite expensive. The way to Hellesylt and back was about 50 euros, but it is already worth it in the first seconds of the cruise, as we are going very closely past our beautiful ambience, and that was my opportunity to take the most beautiful pictures of the ship on the whole trip. So it was already worth the money just for taking those nice shots of the beautiful ambience with the beautiful Geirangerfjord in the background. The ferry was not crowded, but it was quite full already, as due to the heavy weather conditions one of the roads leaving Geiranger was completely closed for traffic, so I guess a few people had to change for the ferry. So the ferry was full but not too crowded. Here we can see the Star Legend, the second ship that was in Geirangerfjord today. As she is the much smaller ship, she had to lay in the roads, taking the guests with the tender boats ashore. And we were also sailing past her, and now we're coming to the scenic part of the most beautiful fjord of Norway, the Geirangerfjord. And I enjoyed the beautiful view with a nice coffee and a waffle. And here we can see how nice the fjord is looking. And the good thing is, today I get to see this beautiful part of the world 3 times in a row, as I'm going there and back with the ferry, and then in the evening we are leaving with the Ambience again through this magnificent landscape. The weather changes very quickly in Norway, so every time it is looking differently. The weather now was some rain, it was a bit cold, so I stayed inside and went just out to take pictures at the most scenic parts of the cruise to Hellesylt, where I had a layover of about 2 hours until I could take the oncoming ferry back. The most important part of the Geirangerfjord are the 7 Sisters, and on the other side is a waterfall called the Fjord. And of course there are a lot of rumors and legends in Norway, not only about the trolls but also about the waterfalls. And as you can see, this Fjord waterfall is dividing into 2 parts that form the outlines of a bottle. And it is said that this suitor is flirting with the 7 sisters, but is unsuccessful, so instead he is falling for the alcohol, and that's why he has the bottle at the bottom. And now I will let you enjoy this beautiful scenery for a while without any comments from my side, and I will give you some more information as soon as we are approaching Hellesylt. We are now approaching Hellesylt, and that was time for me to make a short walk around the ship to look at the outdoor areas and also show you a bit more of the interior of the ship. As I said, the ferry was not too crowded here, but that will change on the way back, because in Hellesylt is the MSC Euribia, new ship of MSC Cruises, the most sustainable ship as it is powered by LNG. And it is quite big, so it cannot go to Geiranger directly, as it's not possible to lay in the roads with a ship like this. It would take ages to get all the passengers ashore with the tender boats. So those big ships usually tend to go to Hellesylt, where they can dock directly ashore. But still, a lot of people want to go to Geiranger, so they are all taking this ferry. So the way back to Geiranger was pretty crowded then. The ferry is quite nice. It offers a few outdoor areas and also 2 different areas inside. A comfortable one in the front and the cafeteria area in the back of the ship. And here we can see the beautiful MSC Euribia again. And if everything is going according to plan, I will also show you this ship this year too, as I have a cruise already booked on it. And here you can see all the people waiting for the ferry back to Geiranger. So that was for sure a more crowded ride. And here we can see the interior of the ferry. This is the main ferry operating all year, and then in the summer months, when the demand is higher, there is a second ferry, which is just a standard car ferry, and I will go back to Geiranger with the car ferry, so we can take a look at that one as well. But now let's explore Hellesylt. As you can see, the village is quite crowded. Of course, it's a very big ship, so a lot of people are here today. And I think also MSC had to cancel a few excursions, so maybe it's a bit more people staying in Hellesylt than expected. And the highlight of Hellesylt, as you can see, is this impressive waterfall. And the good thing is, due to this heavy rainfall, the waterfall now has about double or triple the size than usual. If you just Google Hellesylt, you will see pictures of the waterfall, and most of the time it's not too spectacular, but today it was very impressive, as there was a lot of water coming down. And now I will let you enjoy the water and the scenery of the waterfall without any comments for a few minutes, and then I will explain you a bit more about Hellesylt. We are now on the top of the waterfall. Here you can see the valley that the water is coming from, heading to the waterfall. And now I'm walking on the other side of the waterfall, back down into the city center of Hellesylt. As I said, the village was pretty crowded, as I think this village is living 100% from the cruise ships and tourism. Don't think that there is any other kind of industry, so it's quite good for the people living here if the big ships are coming. There was even a queue in front of the souvenir store, so I think they made a fortune on this day. But for me it was a bit too crowded, so I decided to leave Hellesylt. On my way out I met a few German guests, heard them talking about how they do not like Hellesylt because they don't know what to do in this small village. But that's just sometimes how Germans can be, complaining a bit too much. And to be honest, if you just do a bit of research, and I'm talking about like 5 minutes, you will find so many things that you can do here, especially if you're leaving the city center. There are so many nice hikes that you could do, even hikes that are safe with these weather conditions. For example, here I just walked about 15 minutes out of Hellesylt, and I was in this beautiful area where I firstly could take some nice shots of the Euribia, and also here was the start of a nice hike that I could have easily done, but it was not enough time for me, so I couldn't do the full hike and had to walk back to the city center. But if you're staying there the whole day, just take a little look at the hiking options here and you will have a nice day in Hellesylt. And now it was time to head back to the ferry port, as my ferry was slowly arriving from Geiranger. Here you can see it, and as you can see, it's a different ship. This is a classic car ferry, so there's not too much comfort on board. They had a panoramic lounge, but no air conditioning, so as it was fully booked, you could not even buy any tickets anymore. The panoramic lounge was crowded like no tomorrow, and due to the missing air conditioning it was impossible to see anything out of those windows, and the second saloon is under the water line without any windows, so I decided to go out to the sun decks. So it was not the perfect weather for this, but still it is quite nice to be outside and enjoy this beautiful scenery without windows in between. And I will now let you enjoy the beautiful landscape of the Geirangerfjord without comments again. We have now passed the Seven Sisters again, and here we can see the rib boats. That has also been an excursion offered by the Ambience, by Ambassador Cruise Lines, taking a rib boat through the Geirangerfjord. And as you can see, it started to rain pretty heavily. It was a heavy rain now, and I got soaking wet on the sun deck. It was really an extremely heavy rain, so there was not a centimeter of my clothes staying dry. Here we can see a troll. If you look closely, you can clearly see the outlines of a face, and I will show you another troll later on that I saw. There we will see another outline of a face. I stayed outside even though the rain was extremely heavy. Here you can see the second troll. I think it's clearly visible in my opinion. And here we can see the cruise ships, the Star Legend and our Ambience. So again, I had the chance to take a few nice pictures of the beautiful Ambience. Here we can see the famous Eagle Road heading out of Geiranger, which is also part of many excursions. And the Star Legend already had all guests on board and was leaving Geiranger, but we stayed also for the afternoon. So my next destination was going back on board as soon as possible to put some dry clothes on, get a nice hot shower and have a lunch before exploring Geiranger. And now we can take another look at the beautiful outlines of our ship, this nice round design, which makes this wonderful ship unique. And it was quite nice to see it from the ferry again, so I could take some more nice pictures of our ship. Now we can take a short look at the ferry that I'm on right now. Here you can see the cafeteria and below the waterline without any windows, so this is not a nice place to stay if you want to see the landscape. That is more for the people who have to take the ferry every day and have seen it quite a few times, so of course for them it's nice to be down there without the tourists. But I think all tourists will stay either in the panoramic lounge or on the sun deck. So here we are back in Geiranger, and as I said, I was soaked wet, completely wet. I had not a single piece of cloth that was still dry, so I was going back on board as fast as possible to take a hot shower and put on some dry clothes. And then we went to the borough market for a small lunch, and after that it was already time to leave the ship again for the next excursion. Not a booked excursion, but a private one, because we wanted to explore the city of Geiranger. Here we can see a Hurtigruten ship, the Richard With, in the background, Hurtigruten is also going into the Geirangerfjord, but only in the summer months. And a typical tradition, if you're in Geirangerfjord, you have to have a soft ice. For me, that is a real tradition. Whenever I'm in Geiranger, I will have to have such an ice cream. And then we walked to the waterfall of Geiranger, because also Geiranger does have a nice impressive waterfall. Same like in Hellesylt, a lot of water due to the heavy rainfall, so it was very impressive. And I will again let you enjoy this amazing view and the impressive power of the water. There is a nice path right next to the waterfall, very close to the water, so as you can see here, it even can get a little bit wet. And if you know me, you know that I always have to do things that other people won't do, so of course I had to went right into the spray of the water and take this nice shot for you, but that meant that I was again soaked wet. Again, not a single piece of cloth staying dry, so the rest of our tour around Geiranger was a bit shorter than planned because we wanted to go back to the ship, but still I wanted to see all of it, so we continued our walk. And there are some nice viewpoints where you get a very nice view of the city and the waterfall and the ship, so we explored a bit of that, but then we walked quite fastly back to our Ambience, back to the cabin for another hot shower, trying to find some more dry clothes and change again. And here you can see the way back to the ship. And soon after we arrived back on board, it was already time to leave the Geirangerfjord. And that meant that now it's time for the third scenic cruise through the Geirangerfjord. And you will see it looks again completely different because the weather changed, the clouds were hanging a bit lower. So it looks like a complete different area, and that is the beautiful thing about Norway, and especially Geirangerfjord. You can go there 3 times a day and it will look different every single time. We went to the viewing area in the front of the ship. Of course, this is the wettest and coldest place on board, but it's also the place where you have the nicest view to enjoy sailing past the Seven Sisters for the 3rd time today. And again, I will let you enjoy the views without comments from my side. So now it was time to go, you guessed it, back to the cabin, take another hot shower, try to find any kind of cloth that is not completely wet, and then we headed for the Saffron restaurant where we had a reservation for this evening. Saffron is a restaurant that is not included, so you have to pay extra for it, but it is worth it. It was my first time to go to a proper Indian restaurant, so it was a new style of kitchen for me, but I quite enjoyed the food. It was very nice, and we stayed quite long because the service was also perfect. Just like everywhere on the ship, the crew was amazing, and we really enjoyed this dinner there. And that is it for this video. Next video will be from Bergen. Here you can see when this video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video.